Hello everyone and welcome to Game 2 in a series between Socke and Inuh here on Metalopolis. We have Inuh spawning as the red Terran player on the north side of the map. Meanwhile, over here all the way across the map, we have Socke spawning as the blue Protoss player. Now, with the way that these spawning locations are laid down, I'm expecting this to be more of a high-tech game just because of the walking distance between these two locations. We see Socke pretty much doing that standard opening so far, but the way the map is laid out, these two Xel'Naga watchtowers will become very, very important. All you need is one of these Xel'Naga watchtowers, and then perhaps a pylon, a supply depot in these two locations, and you pretty much have sight on and knowledge about 50% of the map, as long as you're not trying to look for cloaked units. We do see the Terran player setting up a supply depot over here on the front door. Now, as a Terran player, I've heard arguments on for or against trying to set your supply depot over here on the front door, especially against a Protoss player. Against Zerg, I always suggest getting a front door just because you want to make sure there will be no 6-pool run by. However, against Zealots and Stalkers, you almost want to be able to have a little bit more room to maneuver around in this location with your range units. We do see a barracks now coming into position now, and most likely another supply depot will be placed down here in just a moment, and creating and finishing off that wall off. We do see the Terran player now getting a refinery down at the 13-minute mark. Meanwhile, Socke already getting an earlier assimilator. So it looks as though Socke will be trying to go for an early assimilator into a pylon in just a moment. There we go. And then finally a cybernetics core. So moving out with this early probe will be able to do some scouting. Socke does not have to worry about trying to train up any early zealots, just because the chances that a marauder will be inside his base is minimal to none. So a gateway currently in this position here. We'll finish warping in just a moment, and now wait for the cybernetics core. There it is, and most likely Socke going to research that warp gate research as all good Protoss players do. 50 minerals, 50 gas to essentially cut the production time on all of your units by 10 seconds. Absolutely tremendous. We do see now one SCV going to be able to head up this ramp in just a moment and gain sight into Socke's base. Socke does have a second gas already down. Now, I've said this before, a 2-gas build with Protoss, it is very difficult to figure out what exactly the strategy can be. Just because you see 2 gas, it doesn't necessarily mean that your opponent is not doing a 4-gate. What your opponent can do is your opponent can start training up a lot of sentries, and then with those additional minerals, throw down those additional gateways, and then move out with a very high energy sentry zealot army. We do see most likely a barracks currently up, and now with the tech lab, and now training up a marine. A little curious as to what, going for a ghost academy. So Inuh now going for a ghost academy. This is all very strange, as this is all off of 1 rack so far. So I don't think Inuh is going to have enough production buildings in order to macro up the strong enough army that he's looking for. We do see 1 probe now moving around, and we now see a robotics facility. So it's going to be a robotics facility and a gateway. Also training up that 1 sentry, so that sentry will be able to drop a force field just in case there's any early aggression. A probe now coming along this backside here, most likely will be trying to set up a pylon in this location behind this Mink statue, or either up here on this high ground, in order to be able to warp in some units. We do see that warp gate research is already halfway completed. We also see 1 ghost currently being trained up as well. A lot of marines, and now 1 ghost, and finally the second barracks. So Inuh only producing all of these units off of 1 barracks so far, and now we'll be able to get 1 ghost in just a second. We do see 1 probe sitting over here. The probe has not gained any sight into this base just quite yet. So Socke, playing in the dark, does not know about anything else. He will be forced to train up that observer, which you see him training up right now, and now going into a gateway. So one probe trying to hug along this corner almost got shot down by a marine, making sure also Inuh made sure that ghost was nowhere nearby. Compared to that ghost probably could have taken down that probe fairly easily, dealing 20 damage per attack. But he wants to make sure that he does not reveal that he is in fact going for ghost. So we do have 2 ghosts currently in play, also getting a reactor, and now most likely stim pack followed by concussive shells. So stim pack and concussive shells will allow those marines to deal a lot of damage very quickly. 1 probe still wandering around the map, trying to make sure that there is no hidden tech anywhere. He could have also tried to put down a pylon with the Stargate and then push in with some Void Rays, but Void Ray harassment is not nearly as strong as it used to be. In comes this ghost, and this one Ghost right now may be able to gain sight. There we go, doing a good job using an EMP shockwave to quickly reveal that Ghost, sorry, that one observer there, saving the energy on this orbital command and now moving out. However, that one Ghost did lose a lot of energy, so he will have most likely 2 EMP shockwaves available to him instead of just 3 that he would have had earlier. So we'll see how this all works out as another Ghost another observer now moving out. Ghosts are very, very good at revealing those observer units. However, you really want to be able to use that EMP shockwave on top of units, try to front load and deplete all the shields. We do see one probe sitting over here as this army now moves out. So the Marines do have stim pack, the Marauders have that concussive shell, so this army is in fact very, very strong. We do see a lot of units sitting up here, so it looks as though, yeah, Inuh trying to do a timing push with SCVs and Marauders. Will this be enough? Getting an EMP shockwave, however, not hitting those sentries, so that was an absolute critical miss there, not being able to hit those sentries. Probes now coming off the mineral line and now trying to fight back a little bit there, fighting back and forth. We also see a lot of those units trying to come back in, and a lot of probes getting taken down. Finally, an EMP shockwave, nicely done, as these units trying to go after those more and more of those units. Once again, more of those sentries have been taken down, and now Inuh doing a great job. However, a Colossus now coming into the fight, and things are now looking very, very bad. And Socke, even though he lost a lot of probes in this engagement, able to just barely hold off this attack as one Colossus, able to get a quick 5 kills. Also does not even have the extended thermal lance range, but enough to deal enough damage there. Instead of going, he should have gone for those Stalkers. The Stalkers were a little bit more the weaker unit, or a lower hit point units, in order to deal that damage. Now one Stalker has been taken down, another Stalker trying to get that range of 6 constantly there. And now Socke able to fend off that attack. We do see more Marines and Marauders currently being macroed up. So a couple of Marines, and now Inuh with that one command center, very nicely done. I think Inuh did a very, very good job of trying to deplete the number of harvesters that he had. However, the one issue is that even though Socke lost so many probes in that fight, Inuh was not on top of his SCV production. Taking a look at his current SCV count, you can see him only sitting at 23 compared to 34. So Socke still with a significant advantage, even though Inuh had destroyed so many of those probes. And I think Inuh is not going to be as hard, or not trying to press nearly as much, thinking that he has a very strong advantage in the economy, but he does not. Although he does have double mules, you will see that his harvesting is just not going to be able to catch up in time. It looks as though Inuh has a little bit more of a mineral advantage, but you can see that Socke is also mining twice the amount of gas. So you see Inuh is currently having a refinery here, but pulled off all of those SCVs from the refinery in order to do that. I'm pretty sure that there was no harassment inside that base, and otherwise, if I was, I should have been keeping track of the mini-map more. But it looks like though the main army was here most of the time. So one Colossus and Stalker sitting down over here. We do have a Zealot over here. Are any of these, none of these units have taken any damage, so it does not look like there was any raid on Inuh's base. He just wasn't keeping on track or keeping on top of his macro. We do see the extended thermal lance research now being researched by that robotics bay, and now we also have a second Colossi joining in on this fight. So it's going to be 2 Colossi, 1 Immortal, and now Socke is still trying to power drone using that chrono boost to train up more and more probes. We now see once again the movement on this army, medevacs and Marines, just seeing a lot of these medevacs and Marines now moving out, and we do see one factory trying to fly in to gain sight. We'll quickly see this 3-gate with that robotics facility, no anti-air, except for those 3 or 4 Stalkers on the ground with 1 sentry. So Inuh will be able to get a lot of scouting information out. We do see all these units now trying to walk back up that ramp there, and now in comes this group of Marauders and Marines. Will they be able to stim and take down these units here? Very nice position, and now in comes some force fields, and Inuh getting stuck a little bit there, losing a couple of his units. However, I'm able to take down one Colossus, so that Colossus has been taken down. More units now being warped in. And now a sneak play by the Terran player. Terran player trying to use a dropship to get some damage dealt. However, there will be a pylon to quickly reveal this dropship as it's coming in. And now in come these units after revealing that the factory is currently burning. And now Stalkers trying to make their way across the map over here. Down goes one pylon. Will it be enough? As these, more units trying to come in. Another Colossus will be joining in on that fight. Colossus able to get off a lot of damage quickly across those units there. That force field, a little bit of a mistake. as those units were clumped together, and that Colossus was going to deal a lot of damage. However, once again, another factory flying tall will get shot down. There it goes. And it looked as though Inuh wanted to move out with these units, however, unable to really do anything about that. So now all these Marines and Marauders once again falling back and trying to head back home. We do see another medevac low on hit points, does have a decent amount of energy, will be able to return home and try to be repaired. Inuh now going for those Vikings, so a large amount of Vikings will continue to be massed as well. Vikings, obviously the counter towards Colossi. Colossi and Viking moving out together, very, very dangerous combination, especially if you hit critical mass on Stalkers. Stalkers, because of that natural blink that they have, are able to chase down Marauders even if they try to use that attack, move, concussive shell ability. And then when you try to shoot down those Colossi, those Stalkers have a decent enough range and blink to just continue to do more damage. And now in comes more and more Marauders. Once again, Marauders trying to fight back, able to get some damage dealt. And wow, this one Stalker down to 33 hit points. 3 or 4 more attacks, and that would have been the end of the day there. One Marine trying to run away from one Zealot. Zealot does not have the leg upgrade, so will not be able to chase that one Marine all too well, and chases them straight into a group of Stalkers there. So I guess he did chase them pretty well. We do see one probe sitting over here, and now a group of Marines wanting to make sure that Socke is not enabled to just get constant sight throughout the map. We do see Socke doing a good job so far of constantly getting sight, and now Inuh with one Marine here, no weapons upgrade, is going to have a little bit of a problem. Needs to play ring around the Zelnaga Watchtower in order to get as much damage onto that one Zealot. Zealot now down to 8 shields, and now will be able to just walk back up that ramp. We now see Inuh getting an additional expansion over here at the 10 o'clock location, so he will be able to just start mining even further. However, Socke already has this expansion up and running, and you can take a look at that harvester count. The harvester count so much a little bit stronger for Socke. Socke able to mine out even more minerals just because he's mining off of 24 mineral patches instead of the standard 16 so far. We do see that the level 1 weapons upgrade has been completed. Stalker Blink now being researched, and now those Colossi will be able to slice through those ground units even more effectively. I do not know why those Marines turned on that one Marauder there. That must be a very, very painful death as Vikings now move out. So 9 Vikings moving out. We also see some Marauders and Marines moving out. Once again, these Vikings will be able to deal a lot of damage towards any Colossus if they are able to get their Lancer torpedoes onto them. We do see one pylon sitting over here, able to reveal sight onto these units, and an early warning system. We already see the army now coming in to respond. Stalkers on the ground, Colossi in the back of the army, and will they be able to get a significant amount of damage? In come those Marauders, and this is a very, very nice, I was going to say a very, very nice position for Inuh. However, those force fields completely switched the tide of that battle. Vikings trying to shoot down the rest of those Colossi. However, those Colossi have a decent amount of hit points and still trying to get focused down there, and more Marauders and Marines continuing to fight back. Stalkers able to shoot down those Vikings oh so quickly. Down goes that final Colossus. However, the army of Socke just simply dealing so much damage, and now fresh Marauders coming in. However, the medevacs were not there in time in order to try to heal up any of those Marauders. And now, just because those Stalkers will be able to finish off that last Marauder there, we do see one probe just wandering back and forth in this location, trying to get more and more sight here. The main mineral bases are nearly mined out. We do see a Templar Archives will be placed down in just a moment by Socke. Come on, probe, get over there. Now down to 2 mineral patches. Meanwhile, over here we see, 6 mineral patches left, and I believe there was an observer here. Really, was it? I thought I saw an observer, but perhaps no. Yeah, the Marine finally got that kill, able to shoot that observer out of the sky with the scanner sweep, making sure that Socke does not continue to have just proper knowledge of the whole entire map. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between Socke and Inuh, here on Metalopolis.